Well, hey, what's going on, Mike? Anything happening this evening?
Yeah, pretty interesting game. I'm not gonna lie, I was all the way out, but I
I
was
think
I
the
was like the
entire
living
fan base was.
embodiment of the Dumb and Dumber quote. It's like totally redeemed yourself. All right,
Wow.
where are you in this?
I'm watching
Who am I
Noelvi
in?
Marte walk up right now.
Okay, you're a little ahead of me then. Next time you
Okay.
get a
Let me
pitch
see.
clock, let me know.
All right, give me a pitch clock. Okay. The pitch clock comes up for like literally a second, so you got to tell me the second you see it.
8.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
pitch. All right, we're close
Yep.
enough. I
0-1 to
say
Marte.
49 years. 1976. 8.
76.
Oh, man, please. Come on. Please finish this.
Well, at least Elly gets in at bat here tonight in
And
this ninth.
Noelvi's going to play a whole 9 innings back to back days. I mean, he's got to be gassed. All right, I do need to get
Maybe
this
it's
streaming on Twitter
yeah.
because God forbid if this is if something does happen here and we're not streaming, so we can't have our friends help us out. All right. I think I've only been like on live streams for about 10 hours out of the last like 30. So, you know, no big deal here. Whew.
Man, what a night. This I think they said it was 8 straight hits
Get
and
up, get up, get up, get up, get
Marte.
up.
Oh.
Another good
Ooh.
swing, man. Another good swing from him.
Dude, I it reminds me of Miguel Cabrera. That sweet swing with that right-handed follow through. I mean, obviously he's got a long way to go to be Miguel Cabrera, but if
Yeah.
like just how smooth that is and how easy that power was out to almost the warning track is just it's special. So that's kind of how I see that one, and it is pretty it's pretty cool. Now we got Elly. Oh, I'd love to kill the rally here, if you know what I mean. He'd be right. The rally would be killed if he had a home run right here.
It would be deader than a doornail. Mike, can you turn your camera a little bit away from the score bug? You want to go away from it just a tiny bit. There you go. Perfect. Yep, that's perfect. Yep.
I just moved. There you go.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. This was different center than what we were on the other streaming service earlier today. I just want the
Hey,
folks
how do
to
you
see your
normally see
handsome
the
face.
chat? Oh, thank you. I appreciate
You
it.
have to so you have to pull up YouTube like in another tab. That's
Okay.
why I went and got
Okay,
my
I gotcha.
laptop because I have my
Ah,
laptop for YouTube. I have to actually go live in. I it's crazy, man. Like this whole setup when you're the guy flying solo on
ooh.
it.
Ooh. Missed a pretty hittable pitch right there. I think they said 8 straight hits. I don't know where that stands in Reds history, but those 8 straight hits was which led to the tie game, and then the 8-8 in the 8th inning had only ever been, or last time it was done in 2007. It was Yankees White Sox, which is
Wow.
crazy.
I mean, 8 straight hits in today's baseball game, and it was like Dane Dunning was the main pitcher. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I know he's not great, but it's not like this was some guy you called up from AAA or something. Like he's
right.
an established pitcher.
Oh,
Oh.
it's probably the right call, but man, that's tough.
All right. Well, you know
Oh,
what?
free baseball.
I mean, what a world we live in. All right.
Imagine, yeah. I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about that. But it's
No,
just like,
no, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah. We don't want to manifest anything
All
here.
right. Where are we going here in the 10th here?
So they had Pagan warming in the ninth. I think if anybody got on for Suter, so I would imagine it's going to be Pagan.
Those were huge outs from Suter, man.
They were so fast too. We were
Yeah.
like getting ready to go, and I was like, "Hey, bud, it's time right now." Suter's a madman.
Yeah. Suter is not a friend of Chatterbox Reds trying to get live streams up and running. He is just not a part of that lifestyle.
No. If you ever get a chance to interview him, you should mention that to him. See if he it's like, hey man, we love you and we love what you've done for the Reds, but can you slow down a little bit when we're trying to get live streams up?
Was it Jonathan Broxton? Was he the one that was like super slow? Like he would be a friend of Chatterbox Reds, just like who would hold the ball with his like weird stance.
I don't remember anything. Who was the dude that sprinted in? Well, there's Jared Hughes, but wasn't it like Todd Coffey or something like that?
Todd Coffey, yep.
He would come charging in with his big old gut.
Yeah.
Man, Trace, if you guys were on the post-game show for that, imagine what Trace would say about those guys. Or Jumbo Diaz. He can't leave Andrew Abbott alone, and it's barely anything. And we've had some Dennis Reyes, if you remember that guy. That's a pull from the 90s. That was a hefty fellow that
ended
was
up in
throwing
St.
innings
Louis,
for the
right?
Reds. Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, Pagan's in.
All right, big boy, you weren't traded at the deadline. This is your time to shine. Where are we at in the Braves lineup?
3, 4, 5, I think. With Olsen on second. At least we don't have huge wheels at second base.
Yeah.
So it's Ozuna, or no. Riley, Ozuna, Albies. Albies, who's like 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 or something ridiculous like that. Who the Reds have? Elly made the out, so it's Hayes.
Steer, Espinal.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Come on, Will. Come on,
Make
Will.
that
Come
throw,
on, Will.
Willie
Come
B.
on, Will. Yeah, that got pretty deep on him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's an out.
It's an out.
Yeah, just to take it however you get it.
Think Andujar's here yet? He can hit for Espinal?
Yeah. Where was the Sacramento A's at? I'm assuming probably out west.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's still Lux, right? There's Lux on the bench.
Yeah. That's...
A's were in Sacramento.
Yeah. So probably unlikely.
Yeah. We couldn't even get Reese Hines here on time from Omaha, so...
would you...
Do we walk him? Is that what you're thinking here?
I'm not throwing him a...
Come on.
Well...
Okay, all right.
It's one of those plays you like the out, but that would have for sure been a run with him running in towards the seats. Ozuna's a guy who doesn't chase, so like if you might as well just intentionally walk him. Like I don't think you're gonna like get him to swing it 3 pitches out of the zone, you know.
Right. Oh yeah.
You kind of got to either got to attack him or just intentionally walk him. In my opinion, he's walked 3 times tonight.
Yeah, I think so is Sean Murphy. Yeah, just live down there. If he chases it, fine. But the thing is, Albies is on deck, and he is.
Yeah, he's not a good like career hitter against right-handed pitching. I'd take my chances.
Yeah,
he's made a living off hitting lefties.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, Albies is 4 for 5.
Due for an out.
That's right.
Oh. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, he does not chase. Yeah.
A real close one, a little gift from the umpire. I wouldn't hate that. I'll tell you that much right now.
Why was Ozuna not moved today?
I don't know.
Are they thinking qualifying offering him? Like, is that just like no one offered enough that was better than that pick? But he might not even get a $50 million deal though. Which
I mean, here's the thing: there may also there be teams that just were like, we're not doing it because of his past. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know
I feel
with
like that's a
off the
crapshoot.
field stuff.
It's a crapshoot when they care and when they don't.
Yeah. Come on, Marte. Well, that's going to score a run, but.
Well, I mean, you have Elly on third. Yeah, or second, you know.
Second base. That's right. That's right. That's the tough part of this man-for-man zombie runner, right? Is like he just made he did everything right, and they scored a run. You know, he reduced 2 fly balls that got 2 outs, and they still scored.
Yeah. The Braves didn't trade Iglesias either, did they?
No.
Jeez. So kind of them not to. I thought for sure they'd be heavier sellers coming into the series.
Well, let's hope that we can keep hitting off their bullpen. That's for sure.
Oh, we need likes, folks. We need likes.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Let's do our part. We can't do much. We can't do much for this Reds team but cheer and like the stream.
There you go.
Well, all right. Elly on second base.
Big at bat for Austin Hayes. Oh man, I mean it's just I know it's one game, but man, like 2.5 or 3.5, just it feels so big.
I know.
I know. There's no help tonight. Like you can't get lucky and the Padres lose. I mean, like it feels massive.
Yeah, and also just the being able to come back from such a big deficit only hits so hard if you don't win the game. You know what I mean? It's like if you go in and win this game, it's like we just stole a game off of that we had no business winning. But if we end up losing it in the end, then it kind of just still fizzles. So, boy, could really use one.
You do still have Lux on the bench, so I mean, Espinal's playing left field right now, so that it should be Hayes, Steer, Lux. I mean, it's a pretty good spot in the lineup. I mean,
Lux already with a walk-off this year as well.
My apologies for asking you to do the box score recap tonight.
Oh, no problem.
What a game to have to try to recap.
Well, it started out quick, and then all of a sudden the 8th inning happened. We might spend half of the box score recap on the 8th inning.
Yeah, the first 6 innings flew by because I hadn't even put my my daughter down to bed. It was going into the 6th inning. I was like, hey, I gotta get cooking down here, and that was 2 hours ago.
Yeah. All right, come on. They walked us off at home there in their spot. Time for us to return the favor.
Yep.
Come on, baby. And it's Raisel Iglesias.
I cannot believe he was not moved at the deadline. What
Nobody wanted him?
What are they doing? I don't. Good take.
Yeah. I would imagine Hayes is going to get pitched around a little bit here. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, Steer's hitting to a lot of double plays.
Oh, Elly.
No, he's got to get Hayes a second. Get Hayes a second.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, I don't hate it, man. You know what? Like,
Yeah.
as long as you get the guy to second.
Yeah, that's the same as Hayes popped out or struck out, right?
Well, I mean,
the only thing is you give up a lot more
yeah,
speed. Yeah.
Their shortstop's like one of the best in the game too, man. He doesn't.
No, he's out. He was pinch hit for.
Oh, that's
Nick
not
Allen.
Nick Allen. Okay.
No, he was pinch hit for earlier in this game. So.
All right, Steer.
Steer want to play the hero again?
Oh God.
Could have used that call against Ozuna. All right, come on. Come on, Steer. Be the hero.
Steer down on 3 pitches if you're not watching along. 2 outs. Gavin Lux coming to the plate. Tying run on second base. Bottom of the 10th.
Oh man, come on! All right, Lux, serve one into the outfield.
Who's on deck? Stephenson.
Stephenson on deck. Stephenson 2 for 4 today. All right. It's 2 outs. Hayes can be running on contact. Just anything through the infield. Got to score. Oh. Ball's right down the middle. Trying to have it outside, and it just leaks it right over the middle and foul it off. Come on, Lux.
I don't know, Mike.
Guess we got to do a show, man.
I guess we got to do a show. Wow.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. That goes to Inning. And the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. He scored. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant. Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field.
Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line, doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves, throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, well, if you would have told me that the Reds would hit 3 home runs, that the top of the order would combine for 9 hits, probably would have felt good about tonight, but the Reds fall 12-11 to the Atlanta Braves in 10 innings. Reds rallied from down 10-3. Is that
11.
what it was?
11 to 3.
Mike, what a week for the Reds. I mean, all the emotions. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. It felt like we got to experience all the emotions from this past week in this one game, right? The highs of sweeping the Rays, the lows of losing and then potentially being sellers, and then having, we get the, Hayes who contributes and hits a home run when he never hits home runs, but then he also makes a defensive error. And just like the ups and downs of just this game just really summarizes in my mind all that we've had to endure as a Reds fan base so far this year. And this really hurts. I mentioned earlier that when you make an 8-run comeback, obviously is impressive and very nice, but it just doesn't hit the same when you are when you don't win the game. You get there and then you can't push across the winning run. It really stings. So yeah, it's pretty hard. I know we've talked a lot today, and it's pretty hard to know what to say though, because it's just extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing that our favorite team couldn't quite get over the hump.
Yeah, and it's a huge game. It's a huge game, now 3.5 back. Could have been 2.5 back. Could have really, you have that Dodgers game early in the week that you gave away when you had a 2-run lead late. I mean, you could realistically be a 1.5 back. And fortunately not in the cards today. Mike, we'll go to the box score recap. I know you got it. Let me know if you need a couple minutes. I'm going to run through some super chats here first. Big fan of RVA just sent us $1.99. I think it's the tired emoji. Maybe that's what that is. Yeah, that's pretty apropos. Clement's family sent us a $5 super chat. I appreciate you, Clement's family. I'm not going to read that on the air. I don't really feel that's something that I want to mention, but I appreciate you supporting the show. Putrid Talent 499, bullpen needed help, pitching wins games. It only stands to get worse. The blown leads are happening more and more often. Bad luck tonight. Sure. Yeah, I mean, the defense did them absolutely no favors tonight. That'll certainly be a point of discussion. Nick Martinez is going to help this bullpen, but Nick Martinez pitched 24 hours ago, so he's going to need, I think, at least another maybe day to pitch. He'll be a big help, but is that enough? Do they need to maybe call some more guys up from AAA? I think that's a discussion, and maybe shuffle some guys back and forth for sure. But yeah, that'll be something we'll talk about throughout the game. Mike, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I can go with our box score recap.
All right.
All right. Today was the first game that the Reds got to play after the trade deadline, and we got to see the debut of one of their new acquisitions, Ke'Bryan Hayes. And this game actually moved pretty quickly at the beginning here. The Reds got the game started, the scoring started out with 2 outs. Fraley walked, and then Stephenson doubled. The throw came in a second, and when that happened, Fraley scored, and it made it 1-0. Then after, in the bottom of the third, again with 2 outs, Marte had an infield single, and Elly hit a 415-foot bomb to center field, and we were looking nice. It was 3-0. Andrew Abbott was cooking, and we had no idea what was to come later in this game. Then right into the top of the fourth, the Braves loaded the bases with nobody out on a single, double, and a walk. Michael Harris singled on a ball through the right side to right field, making it 3-1. But then Andrew Abbott induced Eli White to pop up, and Nick Allen grounded into a double play. Ke'Bryan Hayes to Matt McLain to Spencer Steer, and that put the end to that threat. In the bottom of the fourth and the bottom of the fifth, the Reds had the first 2 men reach, and none of them scored. And so we went to the top of the sixth, still 3-1, where Andrew Abbott loaded the bases with no outs again. And then in his last batter, he induced a pop-up where Spencer Steer actually made a great play over the dugout railing to steal an out. And then Graham Ashcraft came in and got exactly what Graham Ashcraft needed with the bases loaded, and that was a ground ball. Unfortunately, that ground ball was misplayed by our new defensive wizard, Ke'Bryan Hayes, sending it through and letting 2 runners score and tying the game up at 3. Abbott's night, that ended the line for Andrew Abbott, who went 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs, only 2 of them earned, and a season-high 5 walks with only 1 strikeout. The Braves would then reload the bases on a McLain error, but Profar was able to ground into a double play and end the threat. The Reds made no progress on Carlos Carrasco in that final inning, and that ended his outing. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Then we moved to the bottom of the 7th, where McLain, Elly, and Hayes all got on, loaded the bases, but Steer popped up and Fraley struck out, and that ended that threat as well. And then the top of the 8th is where the wheels fell off for the Reds pitching and their defense. Ozzie Albies singled, Sean Murphy singled, and that ended Ashcraft's day. Then he allowed a bunt single where Spencer Steer probably should have just picked the ball up and thrown to first base. He tried to see if it was going to be going foul, and it obviously didn't. And so the bases were loaded with nobody out again. And then Eli White singled, making it 4-3. The light-hitting Luke Williams doubled, making it 6-3. And after a Profar strikeout, Matt Olson grounded the ball weakly to Maul, but his throw was offline and late. And Eli White scored from third, making it 7-3. That ended Mole's outing, where he faced, or he only went a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 4 earned runs and only 1 strikeout. Pretty disappointing for that aspect. Then Richardson came in, and he didn't even record an out. He gave up 3 hits and a walk to all 4 batters, and Suter had to come in as the 4th pitcher in that inning and mercifully end this nightmare inning, in which it was 11-3 after the top of the 8th. But in the bottom of the 8th, the Reds decided, hey, we aren't going to we're not going to roll over here. We're going to start chipping away. Tyler Stephenson singled. Will Benson singled. Then Ke'Bryan Hayes made up for his error in the previous inning by hitting a 3-run home run down the left field line, making it 11-6. Then McLean singled, Marte singled, and Elly singled, making it 11-3. Hayes doubled, making it 11-8, and then Steer made it 8 straight hits to begin an inning, homering and tying the game at 11. Espinal would get out, and Stephenson would walk, and a ground ball by Benson would move him to second base, but Ke'Bryan Hayes flied out to end the inning, and we were tied at 11 going to the ninth. And then Suter, after that huge inning, comes right off the bench and goes 1, 2, 3, and the top of the ninth is over, and we go to the bottom of the ninth, hoping to walk it off. Unfortunately, the Reds' top of the order was not able to score any runs, and then in the top of the 10th, Emilio Pagan came in, gave up 2 fly balls, got 2 outs, but those were deep enough to bring Olsen to second base and then have Olsen score on a sac fly. And then the Reds, as we just saw, were unable to score in the bottom of the 10th. Elly was thrown out at third base, trying to get to third base on a ground ball to shortstop. And then the Reds were not able to capitalize, ending the game. And that led us to our final score of Braves 12, Reds 11. Reds got 17 hits and lost this game. Raisel Iglesias came in and closed the door on us, and unfortunately, that is where we stand tonight with a loss.
All right, we did have a couple options for a DSC deep drive of the game. We'll go with Elly De La Cruz. He had his 19th home run of the year, his first home run of July, and the final day of the month. Hit 105.2 off the bat, went 415 feet. As always, our deep drive of the day proudly sponsored by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks, as always, to our friends at DSC. All right, a couple more super chats. 8Town7614 says, only thing to say is football is back. Go Bucks. Michael Rolfe chimes in, I just saw the final. No clue what happened, but I heard this today on the radio. Nick needs to learn to walk before he crawls. Talking about Nick Kroll, I believe, not myself. So appreciate all those super chats. I don't know. We could go a million ways in this one. I don't know. The Rally Reds, I mean, it was an incredible comeback. I mean, it's still an incredible comeback. Like, you can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
I know in the 8th inning, Sadak had said to Larkin, he said, you just like to have some good at-bats here, and, you're probably not going to win this game, but which they didn't. But he just wanted to have some good at-bats, build something off today and take it into the next day. Somehow they did that, and you probably feel almost more sick to your stomach than just taking a 11-3 loss in some ways. Man, it's so hard in baseball to do what they did. I mean,
I know.
Like it's like the Braves rally like was impressive, but like once you score like 3 or 4 runs, like you're kind of you're facing a team that's just trying to get out of the inning, right? Like it's a little bit different. Like when you're leading and the opponent just keeps scoring run after hit after hit after hit after hit, and it's just so hard to do in today's game. It's something we haven't seen anything close to all year, and of course in this year 2025, it somehow results in a loss.
Yeah, it's so crazy how it feels like these, getting a break like that, like when we get a break where you're able to string together all these hits, like the Reds feel like they haven't been able to get those this year, and they finally do, and it still leads to a loss. He mentioned something that in those 8 straight hits, I think they had only gotten one, I think maybe 1 for 9, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And then all of a sudden they went 4 for 4 with, in their next 4 runners in scoring position. And I think ended up, let's see, what is it here? They ended up 5 for 18 with runners in scoring position with 11 left on base, which is really tough to do. Really tough to win when you're doing things like that. But, I was encouraged by the fight, at least, because it was an onslaught of a bunch of different things, right? It was singles, it was home runs, it was doubles. So it wasn't just like they were like, it felt like the Braves rally was a little bit, was aided for sure by bad defense, by misplays, by things that, got snowballed for the Reds. This was just teeing off on Dane Dunning and really, and I guess the, D Lee, I forget his first name, who came in for him. It was just so impressive to see them show that type of fight. And you just really wish that it could have been something that they could have then led to a win. I do like to see there being some, like, we've seen Steer tonight. Obviously he struck out in the 10th inning, but the last night, the clutch hit that probably actually should have just been an out if Pages holds on to that ball. But then, the home run tonight to tie it, to see some of these people that we have seen kind of struggle recently in big situations start to come through. And hopefully, I know this is just one game. It feels like way more because of everything we've been through today and the emotions riding high. But I think that if we're able to at least take some of that, where it's just like, yeah, we can start really seeing some improvement hitting in some of these high leverage situations from people like Spencer Steele, people like Matt McClain, who have really struggled this year, then, we can really hopefully see that turn the corner offensively with, what the Reds have to deal with for the rest of the year, because there's going to be big spots, the rest of the games that we need, games that are going to have added pressure, that we're going to need those guys to come up big. And so far, I know Elly did strike out in the 9th, but so far Elly has been our, best hitter in the clutch. And it could really help to have some people come alongside him and really step up in some big situations.
Yeah, that was the first time the Reds have scored double-digit runs since June 14th. So 6 weeks without scoring double-digit runs. So, and that part of it was great to see from the offense. And you laid it out well. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of really, really good at-bats today. There was a lot of really, really good swings, a lot of positive things from the offense. And it's just, it's in some ways one of those games, but of course it came on this day in particular. Because I think going forward, I mean, this team clearly profiles a team that should be a better defensive team than an offensive team. And keep Brian Hayes, I'm willing to bet he's going to make a lot more gold glove type plays than home runs the rest of the year. And of course that's how it plays out here in the first game after the trade deadline. And yeah, I mean, it's one game, but you're running out of games, and you've got to kind of do something extraordinary to be able to make it into the playoffs, because you're now 3.5 games back. So the one thing Francona's done all year, to his credit, is they have turned the page after ugly losses, and they're going to have to try to do that again. And it just thinks this was probably the best matchup really for the Reds this entire series, because you had Andrew Abbott on the mound. You had a guy that the Braves were basically just picking up to eat some innings, and Carlos Carrasco. Ironically enough, the Reds didn't maybe have a great night against him. They had an okay night, I guess, is maybe.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but now tomorrow's still a pretty favorable matchup for the Reds, but you're staring at Spencer Strider in Bristol. So, trying to get out of here with a series win is going to be a challenge after losing game 1 for sure.
Yeah, at least we don't have the losing a series after losing game 1 streak over our heads anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I'd love to make it 2 this year, where we're able to say,
didn't they lose game 1 to the
Rockies? Did we get another one?
I think they lost game 1 to the Rockies.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They did lose
2,
game 1 to the Rockies. Yes. Yeah. So there's 2. So let's we can hopefully we can continue that in Atlanta as well. It's one of those things where I think you're right. This is where Tito needs to really, I don't want to say earn his paycheck, because that's just, I think that's not quite what I mean. But we've disagreed with some of his managerial stuff, things that he's done, choices that he's made in the field and pinch hitting and things like that. But I think that one thing that anyone that's ever played for Tito will always say is that he's he's such a rock in the clubhouse, and that has led us to be a better team accordingly. And if you take a look at those Cleveland teams that he managed, they always seem to really peak near the postseason as well. And man, could we use that now? Because, if I'm in that locker room right now, I've got my head in my hands just like, how did we lose that game? But with somebody, Hall of Fame manager like Tito Francona comes up and says, hey, that's just one. And I don't know, I'm sure he's going to lace it with some expletives in there as well. But just like understand that this guy, we can turn the page and then we can go and win this series. I think can sure be can be impactful for this team, and hopefully we'll be able to bounce back, because there was still a lot to like. Yeah, we had a bad defensive inning, or just like an inning where it unraveled, but 17 hits, and 3 home runs and 11 runs scored. There's a lot to be positive about. I know people don't want to be at this point. People just kind of want to throw stuff and yell at the sky. But this isn't the end. You really wanted to try to, and a chance where you knew you could at least pick up a half game, get a win, and not doing that is just pretty frustrating.
Let's I don't have it on the rundown, but let's just go ahead and jump into the bullpen. I mean, obviously just a brutal day for them, not aided at all by the defense. I mean, because they kind of go really hand in hand. Graham Ashcraft, I kind of give him a pass. That guy's had just brutal luck. I didn't feel like he did anything terrible tonight. Sam Moll was not good. Lyon Richardson was not good.
Yeah, he kind of came in too, right? He come in for a third inning, right? Because he got out of Abbott's inning, right? Yeah. And then he got out of Abbott's inning, then pitched his own inning, and then came in for the third inning, and then that was when he gave up 2 singles. So it was one of those where Santillan clearly not available, and they're just trying to stretch to get arms through there to potentially Pagan, and it just really snowballed. Like I said, Moll, I think, faced 5 guys, got 1 out. Richardson faced 4 guys, got no outs. They each gave up 3 hits, and Richardson walked. I saw something where Richardson has been just, pretty terrible since he has, I guess, I forget when it was, but just like in general, recently, he's been pretty bad. And I don't think Littell was added to this roster, and I would imagine when he does, Richardson's probably the casualty, right?
Yeah,
or is it or I guess there's Luis May, or did he go down? I don't.
No, May is pretty sure still on this roster. So.
Still on, but I bet you Richardson, he's just been so brutal lately. He's probably the casualty that goes down when Littell joins the team. But it's just, it just feels like we're running out of gas. And it also highlights the fact that we didn't go get a left-handed reliever, which I know the Littell deal was kind of preached as we get by getting Martinez to the bullpen that helps our bullpen. And so it's kind of like a bullpen move, but we really didn't address left-handed reliever. And then, in fact, we got rid of one. Jury's out on whether he was whether he was helpful or not. But now we're stuck with Moll, who really had a blow up today, and then Suter, who we've talked about in the past, is not really somebody like a lefty specialist. He's come in when you're the 4th pitcher in the inning and get, I guess he got 5 quick outs. That's kind of his role that he does well. So, it leaves you wanting and wonder, what any of the answers could be. You mentioned somebody coming up from Louisville. Is there somebody that you might have had in mind that could potentially fill that role to come in and help get specifically lefties out, or that Tito could trust to get outs in a close game like this?
Well, Joe LaSource is the lefty that's pitched very well for the last about 6 weeks or so down there. Yasver Zulueta threw another gem tonight. He's pitching very, very well of late. I think Lyon, I'm not giving up on Lyon by any means. I think he just needs to go down to Louisville and just kind of be able to maybe be kind of managed a little bit, where, you pitch every 3 or 4 days, kind of slow down the season for him, because he kind of got thrown into the fire, and it when you're a young reliever, I think it kind of catches up with you sometimes. So I think he's just a guy that clearly needs just like that kind of, all right, send him down, kind of ease him, give him some semi-rest, and kind of get him back on track, and he could be a guy that could contribute because he does good stuff. Mole had been pitching really well. I mean, tonight was frustrating. Obviously, give that bunt single that really kind of set things off. Michael Harris, man, the guy that's had a brutal year, has just killed the Reds this year.
I know.
But it's it's tough. And Martinez is going to help significantly, but he's not going to help for a couple days. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how often does he pitch. You know, is he going to be a guy that's going to be unavailable every 2 days? But just, you know, you have like the 2-3 inning capability out of him, or are they just going to say, hey, we'll use like 1 inning at a time almost and kind of be able to use you as much as we can?
Yeah, I think because of where we stand, not only with just the state of the bullpen, but the usage rate of Barlow and Santillan, that he's probably going to pitch as often as he can. He's the kind of guy that takes good care of himself and is often available. So I would imagine they're gonna try to get as much juice out of that orange as they possibly can, just because they don't really have that better of an option. So it's unfortunate because you couldn't. We make the moves to shore up the bullpen, but we couldn't quite take advantage of it because Latella and Martinez pitched last night, and then sure enough, that's what comes to bite us in here. Any thoughts on Ashcraft? I thought, he has really struggled. Well, I don't know if really struggled, but has struggled recently. But today came in and obviously cleaned up for Abbott. He did everything that he needed to do, right? He got 3 ground balls. So, and he got an error by Hayes, an error by McLean, and then ultimately got the double play. So, it feels like he did his job there and then had a clean inning as well. So I wonder, what do you feel on Ashcraft? He's somebody we need to move to a less higher leverage spot, or is this how you would use him? Or I guess, how do you feel about Ashcraft at this point?
Well, I'm going to assume Santillan was probably unavailable tonight, so you kind of were up against that aspect of it. I think Santillan had pitched in 5 of the last 6 games coming into today. So, I mean, in some ways you kind of had to. Ashcraft, I thought pitched pretty well. I mean, he struck out Austin Riley, got Ozuna out. I mean, he got through the Olsen, Riley, Ozuna. And then they tried to steal it out. I mean, Ozzy Albies is not a great hitter against right-handed pitching, so that was a pretty good matchup. I think they were trying to steal a couple batters. And then Sean Murphy got a weak single off of him. And they were trying to kind of steal a couple batters and set up Mole against the lefty and Harris. And it didn't work out today. I don't know. You can second guess him coming back out for that inning. He retires those 2. No one even bats an eye on it. So, I don't have a big issue with it. I think Ashcraft probably just needs. I don't think he needs to be like sent down like Lyon, like I said, where he needs to kind of manage his innings. But I think Ashcraft probably needs a little less usage. I don't necessarily think he needs to be like demoted to the suitor role or anything like that. I just think he can't be used as much as he is. But today he's also just had a lot of bad luck too, of late.
Yeah. I mean, we can go when we talk about the ugly defense here. Just that the inning where they took the lead or where they tied it, that's a ball that you just expect a Gold Glove third baseman to make. You get there, you get the ground ball, exactly what you want. You go, 6-4 or 5-4-3 right across the diamond, and he misses it. And I think that Brian Hayes is going to make way more incredible plays than errors. But it's just like of course it happens to the Reds where we bring this dude in for defense and then let you down on maybe his second or third action that he got, because he turned a double play earlier and made a good play against Olsen. There was a dribbler that he picked up and threw Olsen out. So he actually got a lot of action and made a couple pretty good plays. And you felt, I'll tell you what, the throw to first base, you feel just like, I felt almost reflexively like, what's going to happen, just because I'm used to Marte throwing over at third base. It's like, oh, no, he hit him in the chest. Okay, that's good. So, I think it'll take some getting used to, but I feel like overall, it's going to be all the good is going to far outweigh the bad when it comes to Hayes at third base. And then, McLean makes that error. It didn't end up costing the Reds because, Murphy's the catcher at third base. He doesn't run. But, infield defense from those two has been so good. And it's just like it was really unfortunate to see that we couldn't take advantage of it because, you have to pick up your starter a little bit. Andrew Abbott clearly didn't have his best stuff, 5 walks, and, battled through and was able to get stuff going. And when that's the case, you just need other aspects of the game to come pick you up. And unfortunately, the defense didn't do that to him. If he does that, his line looks so much different, right? 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 5 walks, but you say, man, this dude was a grinder. He battled, he gave us a chance. Didn't have it. He didn't have his command today, and he left with the lead. But because you make those errors, you're, leaving a tie game, and then obviously he snowballed from there.
Yeah, Brian Hayes making that error today on defense is similar to like Shohei Ohtani going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Like, yeah, it happens, but I mean, it's not going to happen often. So it is what it is. You have to move on. Frustrating, but it is what it is. Let's talk about Abbott for a second. Obviously, Abbott's been incredible all year. Did kind of grind through it tonight. 5 walks. It's not really fair to Abbott, but it's hard not to, when you see the calendar turning into August, not to have that in the back of your head. You hope he's kind of like Nick Lodolo, where coming into the year it was like he always had some sort of injuries, but he kept proving that he could stay healthy, and now we feel pretty significantly different about Nick Lodolo than we did just 2 months ago. So you hope Abbott, this was just a rough game that happens for every pitcher. But it's hard not to also still have those concerns because he's significantly worn down each of his first 2 years in the big leagues. I know he's put a lot of work into trying to be able to stay fresh and be able to go deeper into the season. But this is not one that's going to give you good feelings.
Yeah, and then we move into the 8th inning where, Steer makes that. He made a good play earlier, but then there's the choice to not pick up the ball and just throw to first base because he thinks he's going to roll foul. Larkin kind of talked about it as just like indecision. Maybe that's just as somebody who's not naturally a first baseman. That's just probably a scenario he hasn't rolled up on recently or maybe at all, and doesn't make the good play. And then Mole just with a lollipop to home plate to not get not help himself out was also just brutal. So, their defense really, it just left a bad taste in my mouth for what this team was capable, because you feel like they're capable of putting together good defensive games, especially with what they're choosing to, go after. Like Hayes, De La Cruz, McLean, Steer. Like, you feel real good about that infield defense. Especially from what they've shown this year. I know Elly's probably what you would consider the weak link there, and he can make an amazing play anytime that's we go on. So it's sad to see, and we hope that doesn't snowball. I think that we're beginning to put people in positions where we're going to be able to do that, and hopefully we can just turn it around for tomorrow, and that's the best that we can hope for.
All right. Well, as always, on a night like tonight, we want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health, whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between. It's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit Man Therapy to get help. It's okay not to be okay. Let me check. Did we get any more Super chats, no, we did not, so we'll keep the show rolling right along. Some good offensive nights. We kind of have already highlighted it a little bit, but obviously Elly De La Cruz getting kind of that monkey off the bat, finally getting that first home run in I don't know how many games. It was the 1st of July. That was certainly good to see. Brian Hayes probably not going to bank on a whole lot more home runs from him, but that was good to see. Spencer Steer, able to get another home run. He's had a wild year offensively where what is Spencer Steer going forward? I really don't know, but nice to see 3 home runs. The hits are great, but the home runs are something that this team has lacked at times. And it's also wild, Mike. I was watching some of the trade deadline coverage, and they're talking about, did you know the San Diego Padres have the second fewest home runs in Major League Baseball this year?
Man, maybe that's why they needed to completely remake their team.
Yeah,
they're in a really a bad park for homers, right?
It's better. They move the fences in a little bit. It's still not great, but it's not as cavernous as it once was, I don't think. But
and then play divisional games in San Francisco and Los Angeles as well. But yeah, it's crazy for a team. What you think of them with like firepower from Tatis and Bogarts and Machado and things like that. And yeah, where do we sit in that home run?
I think
wise?
we were.
Did you see?
I don't know. I think we were like 18th or whatnot. I didn't pull it up. I just had heard that earlier, and it was like, really? Home runs are kind of weird this year. I know I've looked through the list from time to time on who's leading in home runs, and there's some teams like the A's are 6th in home runs, the Mariners are 5th, the Angels are 4th. Like, not teams that you would think would be like 4, 5, and 6. The Reds at the moment are 19th. But the Reds are like 4 home runs out of 15th, so like they're pretty close. Like the Reds have hit 22 more home runs than the Padres this year, which is
that's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they hit that, but obviously they added quite a few power hitters. Ryan O'Hearn will help. Some of the other guys they added will help, but it's hard to gauge this team's power. Because, like, sometimes it never has felt great, but sometimes it feels like a liability. Sometimes it feels like, okay, maybe they're, like, average. Maybe they're even slightly above average. It feels like it comes and goes. And maybe it feels like this for most teams that aren't, like, the top echelon, that don't have, I would say, like, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, but the Phillies are 12th this year, which is also
go
wild.
figure.
I encourage you, go look at the home run leaderboard for teams, and it makes no sense based off probably what your thoughts are in your head. I don't know, where are you? It just feels like the power is it comes and goes with this team more so than maybe normal.
Right. And and then you see people like Stephenson. Like, Stephenson has hit some absolute bombs this year, but then for the majority of his hits are just serving the ball into right field past second base, right? And it's just so interesting to see, how it comes and goes for this type of thing. One thing that stuck, so Steer was 1 for 5 with a 3-run home run, and Brian Hayes was 1 for 5 with a 3-run home run, which I think maybe says something about where it's like, hey, one swing of the bat can really change how we feel about all this type of thing. And maybe why, it's tough, because I think if you ever criticize, he's like, hey, why are we, trying to string together a bunch of hits and not hit home runs? You get painted with a brush of like, you just think we should go back to 3 true outcomes, only hit home runs. It's like, I definitely don't think that, but I can absolutely see how power plays a huge part in us winning games. I don't know what the stat is for when we homer. Obviously we homered 3 times here and didn't win, but for the most part, it's like when we get power like that, we're able to get wins in the game. So it's one of those things where it's like an interesting balance that the Reds have hit. And like even Elly's home run, obviously it was 415, but it looked like he was putting a line drive swing on it, and then it just like rose right out of the ballpark. I don't know. It wasn't one of those, that ball had a family home run swings, right? You know, where it's just like the moment it was hit, it was like, oh my God. You know, it was kind of like a rising line drive out, which is great. You know, oh, how amazing is it that we have a guy that can just hit one, you know, square one up, you know, almost like a, slow pitch softball, get the backspin on it and just like rise right out of here. Like that's just like power that you don't see. So, but it's just interesting to see how all of that comes and goes with the Reds. I agree. I really don't know. And I don't have any rhyme or reason. But for the offense, it's great to see Matt McClain go 3 for 6, Noelvi Marte go 3 for 6 as well. You know, we talked about them being at the top of the lineup, especially Matt McClain. You know, where does he go? He's struggled a little bit recently, but he's been better overall since June. So it's good to see those guys really contribute. And, you know, 1 run scored for McClain, 2 runs scored for Marte, 2 runs scored for De La Cruz. So these guys at the top of the lineup getting on base and getting in, which is, you know, what you can ask for. Like I said, 11 runs. You can't like that is all you should be able to win when you score 11 runs. That is not a lot offensively that you can not feel good about for that aspect. So I think it's a good step in the right direction, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that moving forward.
You know, you talked about Matt McClain last night. I talked about how he's for 2 months has been an above-average hitter, and another 3-hit night tonight. So, and 3 hard hit balls too. Nothing cheap from him as well. So,
yeah, going to opposite fields too, like going to all different fields. It was good to see him start spraying the ball.
Yeah, Matt McClain looks like he's back to at least an average hitter, which is just big for this team. And it's unfair to ask anything else of Elly, but does Elly have a 6-week stretch where he's just the hottest player in baseball? Because that is something that can negate the gap between you and the San Diego Padres to some extent. So it's not fair to ask. It's impossible to predict. But is it in there? We've seen it. That's something to I guess kind of, if you're holding out hope, even if it's slim, that's one thing that you have some hope for. Any final thoughts on this before we kind of get into? We'll talk about Miguel Andujar. I know we talked a little bit about it as we kind of scattered after we had been yapping for 2 hours straight and then trying to figure out what was going on with Andujar. I have a few maybe more prepared thoughts on Andujar. Any other thoughts from you on this game before we just wash it and move on to tomorrow?
Yeah. No, I just want to say I appreciate everyone's that is, sticking with us. We've been talking a lot here the past couple hours, and, sometimes it feels like maybe we've said everything that we need to. So we appreciate everyone that's joining us, everyone that's given a super chat, everyone that's subscribed, commented, liked the stream, sticking with us on a day where it's been super painful for them to lose. Even though there was some glimmer of hope with the trade deadline. So we appreciate everyone that is in here and supporting us. With you guys, it always just, it's just great to see that, when there's, people that are with us through thick and thin, 12, 11, nowadays I'm probably sitting in and at least having it on in the background, but it's like to be in here and listen to what we have to say. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's been about 20,000 people that have tuned into Chatterbox Reds over the last about 30 hours since the Brian Hayes trade. So unbelievable. I mean, we can't thank you enough for your support and continuing to let us hopefully do more stuff, continue to bring more coverage, bring more people into the fold. It's really all thanks to all of you that tune in. And so we do appreciate that for sure. All right, let's get into Miguel Andujar. Reds making a trade at the very last minute, adding Miguel Andujar of the A's, a player that is probably going to play be the DH more so than anything else, a platoon DH, can play left field, I guess has the potential to play third base and first base, but kind of feels like that's going to be more of a rarity kind of from the comments that we've heard so far. My kind of just, first thoughts, there's been a lot of I guess, varying opinions on Andujar online. Some that think, wow, this is a great deal for, giving up your 22nd ranked prospect, replacing probably Connor Joe in the lineup. Connor Joe has played every day against left-handed pitching pretty much for the last 2 months outside of when he had to battle hand, foot, and mouth, and thankfully recovered from that disease. But my kind of thoughts on Andujar is this. I know it was pointed out a lot on the broadcast that Andujar has the second highest OPS in Major League Baseball against left-handed pitching over the last 3 seasons. So that's incredible, right? So I tried to look a little bit. Okay, well, is that fluky? All right. It's a little fluky, but he's still a good hitter against left-handed pitching. So a stat that I like to use to kind of give hints one way. It's not the be-all end-all, but a stat I like to use kind of to give hints one way or the other is expected weighted on-base average, which kind of measures everything that goes into hitting, and kind of is a good way of predicting future success. Andujar, over that 3-year span, has a 340 XW OBA. All right? So the Reds this season, they have 2 players that are even remotely close to that. So you have Austin Hayes at 418, which is one of the best in baseball. Tyler Stephenson is actually at 365. And then the next of anyone that has more than 40 plate appearances is Elly De La Cruz at 293. So, I mean, again, I will gladly take Miguel Andujar. Maybe some of it's a little fluky, but he's, I think, pretty clearly going to be one of the Reds' better hitters against left-handed pitching. Guys like McLean and Steer and even Espinal, I think, are better than what they've shown this year so far against left-handed pitching. I think there's more in the tank there, but it's Andujar is going to help this team. How much does he help this team? I don't know, but we can argue till we're blue in the face. Should the Reds have instead, if they're not going to go hard at the trade deadline, should they just have sold? I'm kind of over debating that at this point. What's the point at this? I'm kind of at the point where this is our team. Let's see what they do the rest of the year, and then we'll figure this out at the end of the season, whether this was the right move, wrong move, or not. That's where I'm at least. Maybe Trace will feel differently and want to come in and raise hell on that, and he's certainly welcome to. But your thoughts, Mike, on Miguel Andujar after having a couple hours to marinate on this trade for the Reds?
Yeah, initially I had heard as Andujar as a potential option, but thought the Reds wouldn't be in because of his defense, right? He's pretty poor defensive run saved wise, and with the Brian Hayes deal, it seemed pretty clear that defense was a pretty high priority. But looking into it, and a lot of those numbers that you're bringing up, especially against left-handed pitching, which I think everyone can agree, even though we've been a little bit better this year, has been just for the past couple years a real thorn in the Reds' side. Having somebody that you can feel good about coming in, and even in a DH role, you don't have to worry about him on defense, come in, hit left-handed pitching, I think is a good upgrade. And I think you're right. He comes and slots basically directly into the Connor Joe role, where he's going to start against lefties, probably DH, but Nick Kroll did say that he could play all 4 corners is what he said. And I think what he means by that is right field, left field, third base, first base. I think that's what he means.
I don't think I've ever heard that before. Have you?
But that's what Nick Kroll said on the broadcast. Yeah. Famously great at live interviews. So, but he has that flexibility, which is, and I think one thing that we do need to talk about is just, where, as we move forward, where the outfield kind of shapes up with all the pieces that are kind of left. But I think that he definitely can help this team. And overall, I am excited that he is a part of this team and that will be able to help this team moving forward. Where I think a lot of the negativity online and some of my reticence is just that it felt like we're going to try to do better, right? It felt like Andujar fills a need, but doesn't probably move the needle. Like if they recalculate playoff odds based on Andujar versus Connor Joe, I don't know how much that affects the playoff odds, right? So that's kind of where we stand. It would be the same if I mentioned this earlier, if we would have gone out and gotten Randall Grichuk, right? Now, Andujar actually hits left-handed pitching better than Randall Grichuk is this year, but it's somebody that, gives you an upgrade, but you are left wondering, man, could we have done better here? And so that's kind of where I stand on him. I'm glad. I would have loved to see him come and take that pinch hit at bat instead of Espinal. And I think Espinal is good for what he is, and it's a good glove that can really play everywhere. But, somebody that you can really feel can be a hammer against left-handed pitching, not just somebody that is, has shown positive splits towards them, I think is something that the Reds haven't really had for a while. And, maybe Stuart Fairchild was that, but for the most part, there really hasn't been somebody that's just like somebody that the other team would fear against left-handed pitching, which I think Andujar could be. So hopefully he's able to come here and endear himself. Based on what we saw tonight, he's probably going to come in, make an error, and strike out against the first lefty he faces. But I think overall for this year, he is something that makes the Reds better. We'll have to see at the end of the year whether what we did was enough. And that is what's going to be the big question, I think, on everyone's mind. I think everyone has their ideas on what it was, but the Padres could go on a 12-game winning streak and run away with it, and we wonder, hey, maybe it's a good thing we didn't mortgage the farm. So who knows where we are, and but overall, I think Andujar does help this team, and I like his addition to the Reds lineup.
Yeah, we might not see him a whole lot here right off the rip if the rotations stand as it is. Shoto Imanaga on Tuesday for the Cubs is the only lefty through the first at least 3 games of the Pirates series that's lined up. That 4th game, Fangraphs doesn't go that far in their predictions, is probably one of the Pirates lefties that they have. Maybe Andrew Heaney, I think, is still a Pirate. I don't know. There was so much that happened today. I don't remember who.
Yeah, Bailey Falter got traded, so it's not him.
It's not him. So, but I mean, there'll obviously be pinch hit opportunities as well. And the Reds may try to just give him one start, just to kind of give him one start in a Reds uniform, which, again, I don't have an issue with that. The guy that comes to mind for me is Brandon Guyer. In 2016 was like Terry Francona's like lefty killer, and was a huge part of getting them to the World Series, had huge hits for them down the stretch. And he was just a guy that wasn't really much of anything, just a guy that I think they traded from the Rays for and just brought him in for that. And I think that was something that probably Terry Francona maybe was thinking about when they were talking about making these moves. So the guy that the Reds gave up, Kenya Huggins, a guy that you probably haven't heard a lot about because he hasn't pitched much for the Reds since we've done Chatterbox Reds. He had Tommy John surgery back in 2023, I believe. I think he was drafted in 2022. He just came back. He only threw 4 innings last year. Was pitched pretty well for the Daytona Tortugas. Fastball that can touch 97, and apparently his velocity is back up. So a guy that was a talented guy, got up to the Reds' number 22 ranked prospect. I don't believe he was there at the beginning of the year. So a talented pitcher that they gave up, but a guy that was clearly, I think, a lottery ticket, and clearly on the Reds' minor league pitching depth chart was pretty far down, and a guy that wouldn't have been contributing to this team anytime soon. But certainly is a talented arm. How he pans out, we'll see. And depending on, I guess, where this year goes, and is Miguel Andujar a piece that just is one of those pieces that really helps the Reds, and they do go on a run, then you're not going to really probably care too much about Kenya Huggins' career. But if this season falls completely flat, people will probably track him pretty hard and see what he does. Any other final thoughts on Miguel Andujar before we move on?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to try to figure out what the what the outfield looks like behind it, because Rhys Hines has already been an option, right? And Friedel's coming back, and I think the corresponding move for that is probably Connor Joe. So that then leaves us one, we kind of have some limbo of people in the outfield, right? Like, who is going to be the move for Andujar on here? Is it going to be, Benson? Is it going to be Espinal? One thing that I think that should be pointed out is Benson is very clearly our backup center fielder. And I know that Tito likes having at least somebody to be the backup that he can trust in there. That's why Garrett Hampson was on the roster for so long. It was just there because he felt like he could back up in a bunch of different positions. So I don't know if that necessarily means that Benson has a better shot of staying, but I would hate to see Benson optioned here. But I guess, what do you think is going to happen with the addition of Andujar to this lineup, and who gets shuffled? What happens?
Yeah, I think it probably is Benson. The more that I think about it, I think one reason they may do it is because they don't necessarily have a lot of faith in Austin Hayes and Jake Fraley's ability to stay healthy. So Will Benson, maybe not fair to him, but might get sent down to AAA because, hey, we want to get Will Benson every day at bats. We don't want him just sitting on the bench because there's a good chance he's going to have to get thrust into a role because these other two guys have not been able to really stay healthy. But if he's not, I mean, there's not a clear backup center fielder. I guess Noelvi Marte is probably the backup center fielder. Is there anyone else on this roster that's played center field?
Well,
Maybe.
Marte hasn't played center field. I mean, Fraley definitely not this year. And then we have Lux, who can't even play left field. I don't want him playing center field. There's Andujar, not known for having range. It's just like it gets real thin real fast.
I mean, Espinal might be. If Espinal's on the roster, he may literally be the guy that ends up in center field.
Yeah.
I mean, Friedel doesn't take. Friedel's not platooned, and he doesn't take many days off. And
if he were to get hurt, would probably be the only way he'd be out of the lineup, and then you just call Benson back up, right?
So, yeah, it's an interesting decision, there. I would rather just have Benson and be able to use him in spots, and this team. Well, they're going to have one less probably left-handed batter in the lineup when Friedel comes back. Well, I don't really consider one less platoon left-handed lineup because Friedel's not platoon, so he doesn't really count as like that group of lefties that are platooned. So, but there's going to be opportunities that you go right, left, or you go left. Start with a lefty like Fraley, you pinch it for him, and then you go back to Benson. And there's been some few times this year where the Reds have gotten burned where they didn't have someone to go back to. Now, is that worth a roster spot? Maybe not in April and May, but when you're in August and you are in a spot where you have to do everything you can to win every game because you're behind, yeah, it might be worth it. So it'll be an interesting decision, but I think Benson gets sent down. But, we have all this discussion and someone gets hurt and this decision is made for him.
That's true. That's true. That's all. I saw somewhere McLean in center as well. Didn't he take a few reps out there in the fall league or something like that? I can't imagine that they would do something like that just with the defensive value that you are getting for McLean at second base. But yeah, that's Jacob Doyle's chiming in saying that Fraley has 36 career games in center field. So,
I mean, those have got to be, I don't think any of those have been in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
If so, it's been like the last inning of a mop-up game or something.
And
like
the guy's
that, right?
playing with a half a shoulder or something too. Like I do not see Jake Fraley playing center field for this team. Even in a pinch. I legitimately think they would throw Espinal out there before they would throw Jake Fraley. And I see in the chat several people saying Connor Joe goes down. You might have missed earlier when Mike was laying it out. Connor Joe has to go down for Andujar. The Reds are going to have to make two moves because Friedel is on the paternity list. So the two players have to go down to AAA. Connor Joe's, I think, obviously number one. We're talking about who's number two, and it seems like it's either obviously Benson or Espinal. Also,
Espinal has options too.
Yep,
so
Espinal does still have options.
Okay.
Espinal does have options, but he is making over $2 million this year. So if that plays anything into anything, they don't typically like to send guys down that are making a significant amount of money. So I don't know, but if they were worried about, and this is to wrap it up, this is why it's going to be Benson. If it was Espinal, they probably would have tried to salary dump him today if it was going to be Espinal and not send the guy down to AAA making $2 million. It's Benson. It's Benson. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's going to be Benson.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for a guy that has won you multiple series
and looked very good in center field too. Like played the part of a backup center. I mean, it looked absolutely as good as you could possibly have hoped. Will Benson, a guy who has not played center field very much, he did himself a lot of favors this week in terms of how comfortable he looked out there. Made a great catch tonight, slamming into the wall.
Mm-hmm. And a couple last night too.
Yeah,
like the one that ended the game with Ohtani. So it's gonna be interesting. It's just confusing to me why they wouldn't Yeah, especially I guess they added Andujar right at the bell, but it's just like everyone could see this logjam coming, and they still didn't do anything about it, and it's unfortunate because Benson's somebody that I think that really could help this team.
Yeah. All right, Mike, you got any thoughts to get off your chest here before we go to Reds MILB? I could use like about 30 seconds here to kind of finish something up. You got anything for the
Yeah,
people
let
at
me
home?
pull up something that I saw on the good old X today. It was somebody kind of recapping the crazy day that was the Padres, right? They obviously went out and did just an absurd amount of things. I think they added 5 or 6 guys. Where is it? They added Freddie Fermin, the catcher, Ryan O'Hearn, first baseman, Ramon Laureano, right fielder, Mason Miller, closer, J.P. Sears, starter, and also let's throw in there Will Wagner, third baseman, and Nestor Cortez, injured right-handed pitcher. So left-handed pitcher. So they obviously added quite a bit, and I'm trying to find where it was a tweet that talked about specifically what the what the Reds or what they gave up.
I mean, they were like legitimately like gave up 10 top 30 prospects, right?
Yeah,
it was of their top 30.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, so they gave up the third overall pick, which was or third overall prospect in baseball, which was it's like our equivalent of Chase Burns, right?
Yeah.
And then I think in just the Mason Miller one, they gave up 1, 4, 6, and 7 or something like that. Man, I can't find. I feel like
I put you on the spot here. I know I know.
All right,
exactly
no, I got it.
There you go.
The Padres prospects that they traded today were their number 1, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7, number 12, number 13, number 17, number 26, and number 29 prospects all today. And then 3 other people that weren't ranked on their list because they were either major leaguers or they weren't ranked. That all went out by the Padres today. So this is the most all-in move that I've ever seen anyone do at the deadline. And I think that is probably why the Reds maybe didn't feel as good. Reds fans didn't feel as good because it's like the one team that we're chasing. The Cardinals have fallen out of the race. The Giants have fallen out of the race. And the one team we had to worry about went out and just absolutely backed up the Brinks truck. They pushed all their chips in. They pulled out their car keys and put those on the table too and said, all right, we're going for it. We're going to try to make the playoffs. And that is just unbelievably deflating. Like in a vacuum, it feels like, yeah, they added a good defender. They added a guy good against lefties, and they got something that added to their bullpen. Like that sounds like a good deadline. But then when you look at what they had to go up against, it just feels so deflating. And, I'd hate for this to, not work out for them, the Padres. I think that there's, on paper, they've gotten a lot better, and maybe even World Series wise, their odds have gone up. But that's why they play the games. They still got to go out and win, and part of bringing all those people in is getting them to gel in the locker room, in the clubhouse. And so hopefully, these plucky Reds can keep going out and winning. And we can see that even when you go all in, maybe that's something that we can still overcome. The odds don't look great, that's for sure. But man, it was just really tough to see just like thing come across the wire. And then the O'Hearn and Laureano, 2 guys at the Reds, were like saying, yeah, we want to do things. And then the one person you're fighting against takes them and puts them in their lineup. It's just, oh man, it was tough to stomach on that live show that we were on earlier today.
Well, it sucks too that the Brewers and Cubs have just been so good, so far this year, much better than anyone expected. I mean, everyone coming into this year talked about how terrible the NL Central is. Well, I mean, they have 3 of the 8 best teams in the National League. I mean, so clearly not that bad. And the Brewers and Cubs did virtually nothing. The Brewers especially literally did basically nothing at the trade deadline in first place in the NL Central. The Cubs didn't do a whole lot, certainly not for a team that spends as much as they do, that has as many resources as they do. I'm sure there's not a lot of people that have the warm and fuzzies that are Cubs fans about the trade deadline. There's not really probably a lot of fans from that many teams, as we talked about earlier, that really feel that. But yeah, they just
DFA'd Presley as well. Their big guy that they brought in to be their closer, who had really struggled. So yeah. I think to make room for Rogers too. So because they got Taylor Rogers. We're definitely not gonna.
Do we take a flyer on Presley?
That's I saw that the Brewers also released 2 relievers, or a DFA 2 relievers. I was just like, can we get in on those? I mean, they're scraps, and when they got when a bullpen that good, even they're DFAing people. I was like, man, that's better than Lyon Richardson right now.
The one thing the Reds have done well, done pretty good on in terms of scraps, has been bullpen pieces. Like Ian Jabot was off waivers. There's been several guys the Reds have claimed off waivers that they've had success with. And yeah, that's something I didn't really think about. I mean, there were so many relievers that were traded that teams like the Phillies and Mets, they probably DFA'd guys too that they could potentially make sense. So there could definitely be some opportunities for the Reds to pick up some guys off the waiver wire, which is certainly not going to excite a whole lot of Reds fans. But, in terms of trying to find any pieces you can, any stone that you could turn over to try to improve the team, there might be some opportunities there.
I know that there's a point in which you can add somebody, but they can play for you this year, but they can't be on the postseason roster.
It's August 31st, so you have a whole
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there are plenty of time for that. So, that'll probably be something to watch. Hopefully, by the time these guys go through waivers, the Reds play well this weekend, and maybe the Padres go cold for the first couple days out of the trade deadline, and we'll see what happens. And there are other teams. I mean, the Phillies are 5 games ahead of the Reds. The Phillies now look like lesser of a team than probably the Padres. I don't know.
The Mets just got swept by the Padres, right? It's just like you've seen teams like that with big collapses in the past, man. So who knows? The
Reds are.
You would hate to see the Cubs collapse either. Reds
are 5.5 behind the Mets as well. So they are still 5.5 games between 3 teams that are in a playoff spot. They are 7 behind the Cubs. The Cubs have known to collapse in recent memory under Craig Counsell. That's pretty much all they've done is collapse under Craig Counsell. And it certainly would be an absolute utter shame to see a team like the San Diego Padres, trade for all these prospects, blow up their farm system. It just not work out. It would be a terrible, terrible shame, and I would feel really, really bad for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Same here.
All right, Reds MILB. Everyone wants to hear that today. All right.
I know.
There was some good games today. Louisville won 14-2 over Omaha. The Bats beat up on the Iowa Cubs today. CES was 2 for 5 with a double. Sal Stewart 2 for 5 with 2 doubles. Hector Rodriguez 2 for 5, stole his 9th base of the season. Blake Dunn, he's playing very well. He was on base 5 times in this one, walked 3 times, 2 for 3. Pretty solid start from Chase Petty, although he did walk 4 batters, pitched 6 innings, only allowed 1 run. Yasver Zulueta, as I mentioned earlier, pitching very well. I don't know the exact number, but he's on, I think, like a 14 or 15 game scoreless streak. Threw a perfect inning with 2 strikeouts tonight. Connor Phillips threw a scoreless inning, walked 1, struck out a batter, and then Buck Farmer did give up a run in the final inning of the game. Down to Double-A. If I have 3 screens I got to go between. Here we go. Down to Double-A. Chattanooga, they fall 11-3 to Knoxville. Not a whole lot in this one. The only player that really played well was Jay Allen, and he had a big game. 2 for 3, hit his 7th home run of the year, double and a walk. Leo Balcazar 1 for 4. Cam Collier and Edwin Arroyo were both 0 for 3. Dayton fell 3-2 to West Michigan. Not a whole lot in this one. Victor Acosta had a good day. He was 2 for 4, stole his 13th base. But the Carloses were both 0 for 3, Carlos Sanchez and Carlos Jorge. And then down to Daytona. Daytona got a much-needed win. They won 4-2 over Palm Beach. That's the team that they are now tied with for a playoff spot. So they're playing a big series this week. The two teams tied for a second-half playoff spot. Tyson Lewis now has 22 stolen bases in 52 games. Good day from Arnaldo Lantigua. He was 2 for 4 with a double. Alfredo Duno 0 for 3 with a walk. And then David Lordy pitching very well down at Daytona. 4 1/3 innings, just 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, struck out 7. Having a really nice year, 2.77 ERA. He's got a whip under 1, 53 strikeouts, and 52 innings for Lordy. All right, coming up tomorrow for the Reds, we are right back at it. No rest for the weary. 12:40 start time. It will be Brady Singer against Bryce Elder. Another favorable pitching matchup for the Reds. I, to be honest, have not dug into any of the splits or anything about this matchup tomorrow. I just know the Reds need to win, and the offense needs to beat the living hell out of Bryce Elder. I know Brady Singer's coming off of a very, very good start his last time out, but 12:40 tomorrow, leading up to, I guess, the teams fly after that game down to Bristol Motor Speedway for the game on Saturday night, the MLB Speedway Classic. Mike, any kind of final thoughts for us? I threw a lot at you there.
I have some numbers on people that have faced Elder and Singer. If you want me to throw them at you,
please do. Throw them away.
Yeah. So Key Brian Hayes is 2 for 8 against Bryce Elder, and everyone else is 1 for 2, 1 for 2, 1 for 2. Spencer Steer, Gavin Lux 1 for 2, Austin Hayes 1 for 2. So not really that much. I guess those are hits that they've been able to see. But I think the more interesting matchup is going to be Brady Singer versus Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is 5 for 11 with a single, 2 doubles, and 2 home runs off of Brady Singer. And Matt Olson is 3 for 9 with 3 walks and 2 home runs as well. So let us hope that we can maybe pitch around those guys so that we don't let those guys beat us, and that we absolutely crush Bryce Elder to make this game not competitive almost right away. So those are some of the matchups that you have for tonight or for tomorrow's game. I think one thing that we haven't mentioned, or I guess that could be really helpful, is to just like a day where we just score so many runs that we can give the bullpen a day. But all our high leverage guys are just like, hey, take a day. It would be really nice. Let's score 11 runs and not give up 12 runs.
Falling on Brady Singer again, I feel like his last start was like the Reds desperately needed him to go deep, and he did answer the call on that.
Yes, he did.
So kind of in the exact same spot. Yeah, it'd be very nice, a day game after a night game and a busy week, and just see if the Reds do try to make a move. As mentioned, they are out in Omaha, so it's a little bit tougher. And Yasver Zulueta, a guy that maybe you'd want to add, pitch tonight. Connor Phillips also pitched tonight. Could maybe, be the debut of Zach Maxwell. That would kind of be a nice, for the Speedway Classic. Put your other fireballer out there. Just say, hey, let's go guns out. I doubt they do that. I'm not trying to get anyone's hopes.
You'd have to make a roster move too, right?
Yeah, there's some.
Because I don't think he's on the roster.
There's some guys on the 40-man roster that they can part with. If you look down through it, I'm not too stressed out about that. But yeah, big game tomorrow. I mean, it's about as must of a win as you can possibly have in a game 2 of a series on August 1st.
Yeah. Are you excited for the Bristol game? Having all eyes on us and a neat venue.
I'm glad you asked. I actually shameless plug my little hit that I did on 700 yesterday. As I had to record 2 because I was down in Cincinnati. I had to record 1 ahead of time, so it couldn't be current. So I had to kind of come up with a topic that wasn't. I actually talked about that, so I guess I'll share that real quick, and we'll wrap it up on this. So, yeah, I'm really excited about Saturday. Personally, my dad is a huge racing fan, but my dad's not a big baseball fan, which probably will shock a lot of people. Like, really? I got my love of baseball and the Reds from my grandfather. My dad is an incredible man. He took me to Reds games all throughout. Went to Fenway Park with me in Boston. We've gone to PNC Park together. Baseball is just not really his thing. He does enjoy going to games with me and whatnot, but he loves racing and he loves NASCAR. So my for those who don't know, I live up near Cleveland. My parents are down in Cincinnati. I dropped my kids off when I came down for Chatterbox Reds night, and my parents are bringing them back up. So my dad is actually going to be here with me on Saturday night. We're going to watch the game together, and then I'll come join Mike and talk about it in the ninth inning. So yes, I'm personally am really looking forward to that game and getting to have a cool, unique experience with my dad, or our two worlds kind of colliding. Although I'm trying to also just kind of get my bearings, because this week has just been it's been a grind. It's been a fun grind, and it's been much better of a grind because of the support we've had. You know, when you work really hard and there's 20,000 people that tune into Chatterbox over 2 days, it definitely makes you feel at least some sort of pride for the work that you do. That's all thanks to you all. So thank you so much. Mike, any final thoughts?
No, I that's a great idea. My dad's not a big racing fan, but I might invite him over to come watch the game with me too. That sounds like fun. If
our pops can stay up, we'll put him on the post game show with us. We'll have
that's asking a lot. That's asking a lot.
Mine too. My dad would want nothing to do with that.
But yeah, I'm excited. Anytime the Reds get spotlight, I like it because it just feels like sometimes Cincinnati kind of gets forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we have Elly De La Cruz, but there's always so much going on that I think is just awesome when it comes to cool stories, whether it's, Jake Fraley or, people that are just really cool and interesting people that often doesn't get highlighted by the national baseball media. So I always love it when you get to hear stories told. And I think some Reds fans actually get annoyed because they're like, yeah, we already know about all this. Yeah. But, when you get on like the Roku game or something like that. But it's like, hey, it's cool to be able to see that exposure to everybody. Like, I don't think we've been on Sunday Night Baseball and things like that. So I'm excited. I hope that, we're on here celebrating a fun win, and that we can be, excited about the direction in which we're going, and just cheer for the team that we love to cheer for. My mom is the one that gave me my Reds fandom. She's the one that had season tickets, so it would take me out, take me out of school to go to games and things like that. And she lives and dies by the Reds, like even more so than me. Like, it's like when the Reds lose, like if I were to call and talk to her right now, she'd be in one of the worst moods. Yeah, she would be like, and she just want to talk to me about how annoying something was in the game. So you in the chat, you may have your thoughts. Don't worry, it will be nothing based on or compared to what Grace Hart's going to let me know about tomorrow when I talk to her. So I just appreciate that, and I appreciate being able to experience these Reds games with not only you, Nick, but also all the people in the chat. It's been really cool, and I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate everyone that's tuned in, because that wants to listen to us talk about a team that we love, and hopefully the passion for how we feel just spills over to you all. So just want to say thank you. Like the stream on the way out, and hopefully we can bounce back and get some wins here.
All right, well said, Mike. Appreciate you sharing that. One super chat on the way out from Michael Rolfe. No Krispy Kremes tonight. Snap, crackle, pop is gone. Trace needs to hire Mike Hart to fix his computer. Nick, you are the man. Appreciate you, Michael Rolfe. For those who are still watching, please like the stream. You're probably already subscribed here to Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, but if you're not, be sure to do that. I believe I'm going to be joined by Corey Phillips tomorrow. I will be on the post-game show tomorrow. The marathon week, the grind continues. We'll be here, hopefully recapping a Reds win and getting you prepared for the MLB Speedway Classic on Saturday. All right, for Mike Hart, I'm Nick Kirby. Thanks as always for listening and watching today on Chatterbox Reds. We will see you again soon. And as always, and most importantly, go Reds.